Current mileage 112,242. 100 miles ago I put in a new belt tensioner, idler pulley, belt, and alternator. Duralast alternator, lifetime alternator, 130 amp. And then I put in the Continental Belt kit and tensioner kit. It came with the belt, tensioner, and idler pulley. Put that in about 100 miles ago, and I have a 700 plus mile road trip ahead of me right now. So I'll give you guys my impressions of this belt kit after around 800 miles. 100 miles so far. My alternator was making a grinding sound under hard acceleration. That grinding sound's gone now. I've put in cheap belts before in previous cars, and cheap belts tend to squeal again after a day or two. This belt isn't squealing right now, so far so good. Let's see how it is after 700 or 800 more miles. About 200 miles into my trip, 300 miles on this new tensioner, idler pulley, belt, and alternator. So far so good. 14.3 volts, so it's charging nicely. When I was getting the alternator light, the battery light, I was at about 13 volts, so you want to be at about 14. Filling up on fuel right now. 212.4 miles traveled on this current tank of fuel, and according to this, I'm getting 14.4 miles per gallon, and that includes a mountain climb. Let's get the actual fuel economy numbers now. 212.4 divided by 13.866. Actual fuel economy 15.3. It's pretty good. This is 14.4, so I got 1 mpg better. 1 mpg off, and that's a mountain climb. So 15.3. What was it? 15.31. So yeah, I should get 16, no problem, like I always do. Road trip complete. Drove a little more than 1,000 miles in the last couple of days. That included a lot of mountain climbing. Idling right now, and the volts are at 13.8. Everything looks good. When I'm on the freeway with no accessories on, it's right at 14. Saw 14 there for a split second, but looks good. Like I said, when my alternator light, the battery light came on, I was seeing 13 at idle and in the 12s with the AC on all the way, even on the freeway. So everything looks good. Let's get some fuel economy numbers. 19.629 gallons added. 353.2 miles traveled on this tank divided by 19.629 gallons. 17.99 miles per gallon. That's the best I've ever done on this road trip. My previous best was 17.5, and that's going 60 miles per hour, and I went 60 on this trip. So a slight improvement in miles per gallon. Maybe the alternator wasn't spinning freely, and that was creating a lot of friction. So everything's good. I'm happy with those results. I'll do a quick lane change here. Everything sounds good, nice and smooth. No more grinding sound. So obviously 1,000 miles is you know, it's a minor report on how everything's doing, but like I said, completed my road trip, drove 1,000 miles. That included a lot of mountain driving, about 300 miles worth of mountain driving, lots of inclines, no belt squeal. The thing is, with the Continental Belt, seems like a good deal. It was a kit, tensioner, the idler pulley, and the belt all in one kit. So it seems like a good kit. I've bought cheap belts before, and cheap belts will start squealing in a couple of days within 100 miles. So everything sounds good. So that's just a initial impressions report on changing out the alternator, 130 amp Duralast, and the Continental Belt kit with tensioner, idler pulley, and belt. No more belt squeal. And my MPG improved slightly.